Hi, Beck Mack here for Popsart, and I am in fabulous West End. As you know, where there is food, there's fashion, and there are amazing artists with incredible contemporary artwork. How are you, girls?
Hi, how are you?
Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
Now, what's your name?
Amy.
Amy.
Karkik.
And you are?
Alicia Hollier.
And you're from One Space, the gallery manager.
Yes, yes.
This is also improvised. Now, this work, Amy, is part of Trace, which is happening throughout West End over the next 3 weeks. And it is You Can't Learn by Forgetting is the name. Can you tell us what this is about?
So my work, that's okay. My work is really interested in exploring the American dream, and I suppose the decaying / fractured nature of where that currently is in 2019, and also in turn how that affects or influences our own Australian dream, but particularly the core constituent, I suppose, of that, which is the suburbs and the suburban dream, and that idea of home ownership and the values that are surrounded with that, and the sort of ideals that we aspire to be part of that dream, and who has the right and or access to be part of that.
Now, were you invested personally in the American dream or the Australian dream or some aspect of it to start this sort of journey on? When were your illusions shattered?
So depressing, but true. I suppose I was in my early, maybe late 20s, and I just sort of started to really feel that everything I'd been brought up to believe in and what my parents had sort of taught me in terms of the direction and aspirations in life wasn't really fitting anymore, and particularly the idea of buying a home was not an option, and is increasingly becoming more and more difficult for everyone, particularly my generation. And so, I just really started to question, this narrative that I'd subscribed to and sort of believed was reality, and sort of started to dig deeper into that, all before Donald Trump got elected, of course, which obviously changed everything again and made it a little bit more darker and menacing.
Yeah, well, the stakes are higher now, definitely. Now, in this work there is a miniature that is a large scale, and so you're playing with scale as well, and that plays into the themes?
So in terms of scale, not necessarily an initial intent, it was just more about finding objects. So I've worked previously with taxidermy and found consumer objects, so icons of suburbia and the dream, I suppose, and particularly kitsch is a vehicle and a language and an aesthetic that I use a lot, and so I was really interested in these idealistic ceramic figurines which were mass produced and I suppose instill these ideals of childhood and families and suburbia and domesticity. And I just started physically mutating them and I suppose providing, depending on how you want to read it, maybe an alternative reality and or maybe the reality of what it's going to be in the future, or adhering to this fantasy or being part of this fantasy. So the lived version of it, perhaps.
Yeah. Now, Alicia, has your dream been shattered? Have your illusions been shattered? Have you been playing into this dream, this American dream or this suburban dream?
Oh, I think I'm with Amy. I think you kind of have to realise a few of the realities. A few people, when we showed Amy's work last August, a few people thought it was kind of a little dark, but I think kind of everyone kind of jokes, and it's kind of like if you don't laugh, you'll cry, and it's kind of like this thing that I think people are discussing, and it's better than just crawling into a dark corner. So yeah.
Now, Amy is one of One Space's artists. You represent her, show her work. Can you tell us about One Space and what the gallery is about and what the focus is?
Yeah, sure. So One Space is we're a contemporary gallery in Brisbane. We show mostly early to mid-career artists, but kind of with more of a focus on, I guess, works that you may not necessarily see in sort of the traditional maybe art museum context, photographs, sculptures, mixed media, things like that. But we try not to be sort of too locked into one format. I think maybe we have artists work in the space and sort of show an exhibition at the end. We'll approach artists and the other way around. So we try to remain a little flexible. Yeah.
And you put on a fantastic opening night, let me say.
Well, that's a goal.
about galleries, this work is now out of the gallery space, in the public space. How do you think this is going to affect or enhance or alter the viewer's perception or experience of your work?
Well, having it out of off a white wall, I think, is really exciting, and also within the context of a shop which is about also selling commodities, I think is really fantastic. The idea being, I suppose, that people will sort of obviously take time to look at this sort of one moment or this one scene that I've created, and not to be depressing or negative, but just maybe start to question those bigger challenging ideas of what it is that we're all aspiring to and why are we aspiring to it and who should aspire to it and who can. So, yeah.
And now you come from the gallery. How do you feel about this? I mean, the art's not in your space. It's out here in West End. How do you feel about that?
Oh, I think it's fantastic. I think art should be seen in different contexts all the time. I think sometimes the white walls can be a bit intimidating to people. I think having them out in the public realm, it kind of opens it up to people that may not usually wander into an art gallery, and it kind of brings in a whole different range of perspectives to the work. But also maybe kind of offers people a type of work that they might not have known they'd find appealing because of maybe a certain idea they have in mind about what exists in a gallery. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So if you want to come down to Halls, Jewellery and Watchmakers, this is where this fantastic work is. And there's work all through 4101, starting tomorrow. It launches for 3 weeks. So come on down and check it out. Thank you. Thanks, girls.
Thanks.
Thank you.